welcome to the garden. Today we're finally planting out the peppers and tomatoes. I've had to wait until those nighttime temps get above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, because we've been getting a frost right up until the last couple days. But I've used all that extra time to acclimate our peppers to the sun, the wind, and the cold. And I think I'm going to use larger pots next year. That'll just give them a little bit more time. We probably could have up-potted them, but that tends to slow their growth, so I just wanted to wait. But you can see what happens if we don't up-pot our tomatoes. They turn yellow because they're really hungry, they're craving more nitrogen, and look at all the increased growth you get just by up-potting them. I want to get a pepper or a tomato in every single container. And it's okay that we already have lettuce planted here. There we go. We'll just set this aside for now. And we want our pepper to sit right about at the same depth. We can plant maybe an inch of that stem, and they can grow roots, but it's not like a tomato that we want to plant really deep. So that looks pretty good. Yeah, I can tell it's a little bit root bound. You can see those roots starting to coil. I don't really want to tease these apart too much, but if we can get this a little bit more like a taproot, nice and deep, hopefully that'll help the plant. So I'm going to dig slightly deeper just to accommodate that long root. And try to get that in there nice and gently. We don't want it to kink or fold on itself. That'll pinch off its supply. And then we'll lightly backfill. And I'll use some of our nice sifted compost here just to fill it in with some nutrients. We don't want to bury that stem too deep. If you've reached the seed leaves, you've probably gone too far. But just a little bit will help anchor it. So then a light press on the surface, and we'll water it in right away. So we'll do a couple here back to back to show you how quick and easy it is. We can even leave these lettuce and just offset our plants very slightly. We can either stake them now or when they start to put on a little bit more growth. We're going to do bell peppers in these pots. You can see we have a lot more plants per cup. So here we could either pull them apart, prune back the smaller ones, or just leave them as a little cluster. I had a bunch of comments last year saying peppers don't mind being crowded. So we're going to try these as a little group. So that's the last of our peppers planted out. And round 2 is going to go back in the greenhouse. Tomatoes need a little bit more space and a little bit more work because we're actually going to bury them right up to about halfway. I can see the soil's not the greatest down there, so I'm going to dig even deeper so that we can add some compost. And we'll mix this in too, not just going to dump it in the bottom. So we're going to try to flip this over really quickly so that we don't put too much stress on the plant. Trying not to get too much soil on the leaves either. I'm going to take another scoop so it can go really nice and deep. Perfect. Now to prevent these leaves from getting buried, we're just going to prune them. Seed leaves too if we want. And a few leaves above the soil line. That's so they don't get splashback from the soil. Because if the underside of these leaves gets coated, it can actually spread blight. Just like with our peppers, we're going to water these in right away. But this time we want to avoid getting the leaves wet. We're just trying to keep down disease, because tomatoes are much more vulnerable. We're also going to stake them or cage them right away. And they really won't fill out these cages for a while. But once they're big enough to do that, it'll be too late to put the cages on without damaging the plant. Sometimes I'll even stake the cage, weaving it in and out of these rungs to really support it. So that was a beef steak. Now we'll plant a cherry. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these leaves. Just the first few. Try not to bend that stem as we tip it over. If your plant is a little bigger, you might just want to flip it right upside down like this. You do get a little dirt on the leaves, but you don't risk breaking the stem. Down she goes. We'll bury all of that stem right up to the soil line. Another way to prevent splashback is by mulching. I just like to use dried leaves. So we have peppers in all of these pots, tomatoes here in the middle, and then more peppers. So I'll probably do the Roma tomatoes in these 3 pots, maybe some along the edge in those green ones, and the rest can probably go in these big black ones down there. I don't think I'm gonna do any in the ground this year. So that's how I plant out my peppers and tomatoes. I hope you picked up some tips for your garden. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.